the Jews were fighting to defend themselves and their new place in that area from the very beginning, with no help from anybody.
That's not true. They were shipping in weapons. Even under British occupation, they were still shipping in weapons illicitly.
They were British occupation.
They were buying them,
about like
but also
they weren't getting them for free.
1948. Who was supporting Israel in 1948?
Nobody, except for other Zionists.
The Haganah, Irgun, and Lehi brigades that were at that point almost always considered like a standing army during the Nakba were fighting against.
He's just rattling off. He's rattling
like,
off random facts
that had been disarmed by the British. The Zionist brigades at that point, even before England pulled out, even before the British pulled out, were being trained by the British forces, while the other side was being disarmed by the British forces. That's why there was an asymmetry to the violence even then. Over the course of the years, but specifically during the Nakba as well, 6,000 Israelis died, whereas 15,000 Arabs died, with 750,000 Arabs being Palestinians being expelled from their homes.
He's just like rattling off like facts. He has he won't engage with anything he fucking says.
Or whatever.
It's so gross listening to him talk.
Because it was a broadly civilian population that was being slaughtered, and by a militia force that was trained, had weapons, had even a plane, had...
Like, I like how he's saying this. The Brits trained these people. Like, weren't the Brits literally in charge of the entire Jordanian fucking military? Didn't they get... Wasn't it called the Arabization of the army when Hussein... Or no, I think it was Abdullah at the time. Literally expelled, like, the British generals and shit. It was like, off. Like, don't control our army. Like, bro, this is such a...
During 1948. There was an arms embargo during the time.
Yep, there was.
Yeah, and they sent in illicit weapons into Israel regardless. That's what I was talking about.
They
got it from
no, that was
France, and they got it from many
Czechoslovakia.
other areas.
Can you provide a source on that?
No!
That's not how
I can't message Ethan. I can't. I'm not going to do it. I'm not gonna
I understand that they got some
Discord.
help and weapons from like Czechoslovakia was selling them rifles and
selling
shit.
them, and they had to smuggle them in.
Selling it to them, you know what I mean?
Yes,
There wasn't a lot of countries that were willing to sell them anything, but Czechoslovakia.
There was an arms embargo, which meant that they were acquiring illicit weapons. Yes, this is true.
But they weren't getting help.
Many different countries.
Who is the many different countries? Was it mainly Czechoslovakia?
Beyond that, they also had access to British arms as well. That's why they had like armored personnel carriers, tanks. Not many, but ultimately you were fighting against a civilian population that was almost completely disarmed.
They literally
regardless.
terrorist attacked the Brits in 48. Or well, no, was it 48? Was it 44 to 48? When did the Camp David Hotel thing happen? Like, I don't think the Brits wanted to like give them a ton of shit afterwards. Can you pick out some crazy comments in chat? His whole chat is fucking insane. I don't know what you want me to say.
Broadly supported by the Western world.
I like how Hasan. This is like it's so frustrating.
Because it's easy to look at Israel and look at all the...
And I have to figure out, I need to do like more rhetorical tricks, I guess, because none of these conversations are real. I hate when people can't just engage with a question and go back and forth, like using the information they have, but it's always just like random info dumps. Like if you say the right word, it'll trigger an info dump. Hasan is like the ultimate info dumper. Like if you ask him anything, do you think it would be good? Like if I've got a really bad headache, do you think I can take like ibuprofen for that? And then Hasan's answer is going to be like, well, sometimes ibuprofen can help with headaches. In some countries, ibuprofen license is licensed for treatment of the same condition of ibuprofen, and lysine salt is used because it's more water soluble. And ibuprofen lysine is used for rapid pain relief given in some forms. There's like he just like starts rattling off just like a whole bunch of, and it doesn't really truly reinforce his argument in a roundabout way, kind of, but he just like starts to ramble until he's like overwhelmed you with like shit that doesn't even really refute or support. It's just very, I don't know. I hate this style of like conversation. It's so irritating. This is what Frogan is publishing. God, she's such a disgusting piece of shit. Oh, I'm trying not to dig into the bad insults. This is what Frogan is posting right now on Hasan's fucking Discord. He's literally mask off, racist and Islamophobic. I miss when Ethan Klein only made fun of Helen Keller. Israel would never do that. Taking peace into consideration or not, Israel is trying to occupy Palestine fully. The Arabs are so scary. Like she's just trying to make Ethan sound like he's racist. If you're screen recording this, Ethan rehearsed his same one point in the mirror before going on stream. Can you really take anybody seriously when Hila called Ramallah a terrorist village? This is the video that she posted, apparently. Hold on, let me listen to this.
Once you went on like a...
Oh, it's like a 2-minute video. What else is this? Ethan is the Israel expert, allegedly, because he lived there. Yo, low-key, why does Ethan have morning voice? Oh, that's why. I love Zionism. I can't. I swear to God, Ethan crying over Palestinian kids, that one leftovers episode were crocodile tears. I need Hasan to go stupid? I don't know that typo. If Hamas is as powerful as people think they are, wouldn't there be retaliation towards Israel right now? You mean like Hezbollah shooting rockets into Israel? Wasn't that happening? Weren't they trying to shoot, were they Scud missiles from Yemen into Israel? But I think they got shot down or intercepted by Israel. And being genuine, my grandparents are older than Israel, so why should Palestinians die? Yo, chat, my uncle has a Palestinian reparations card. If we get the house back, you're all invited. I would respect Ethan much more if he just said he hated Arabs and went along with his day. God, I hate that Ethan ever apologized to this disgusting
I don't believe you answered the question. Do you think a lasting peace is possible while Hamas is in power?
Ethan is so much better at this than I am.
Hamas will not be in power if there
Jesus.
is lasting peace. That's my point.
Okay. So you're saying, well, no. The lasting peace doesn't come first.
Yes.
First, you have to deal with
Restate
Hamas.
it, yep.
You cannot deal with Hamas by bombing Gaza. You can only deal with it in it's a political problem.
So
Hamas is...
But how do you do politics with a terrorist group like Hamas?
Well, Israel has done politics with Hamas many times over. There has been ceasefires in between.
Ceasefires is not the dissolution of your borders.
That's not even a even if we're having this conversation,
Doing a
Israel itself has been
ceasefire
able
is,
to.
First of all, agreeing to a humanitarian ceasefire.
No. I'm not talking about like a humanitarian pause. I'm talking like ceasefires in between different sieges that have occurred into Gaza.
Okay, a ceasefire is different from having a peace partner.
Yes. Like ceasefires are the new Israeli borders.
Ceasefire is different than having a peace partner, but
Yes.
that is one form of negotiations.
Ceasefires are the 67 borders, the post-67 borders.
I don't think it's fair to say that Hamas would be a good partner in peace with Israel. You think Hamas would be a good partner in peace with Israel?
No, I do not. I do not believe that Hamas would be a good peace partner with Israel. I also do not believe Israel is a good peace partner for Palestinians in general. I think that is the most important part.
We agree.
So
but
here's
again,
the thing. But here's the thing. Hamas in and of itself.
Is just again to draw it back to that is that the one-state solution will never happen, and starting from there is a non-starter. That's my thesis. But go ahead about Hamas.
Okay. So here is what is important to understand, and this is not just my assessment. This is the assessment of the likes of Norm Finkelstein as well, and it's backed by actual sentiment expressed by Likud party members, but of course Benjamin Netanyahu too. Hamas's and its existence as a violent Islamist fundamentalist cutout greatly benefits thwarting any kind of Palestinian nation-state project. This is not my design. This is the design of the Israeli government. This is something that Benjamin Netanyahu has openly mentioned time and time again.
That's
as well.
I don't think that's true, by the way. I'm glad that we had, when Katie and that other guy were on and we were investigating that Benjamin Netanyahu quote about like dividing Hamas and the PA or whatever. This is highly misrepresented. That they make it sound like basically Hamas popped up because Netanyahu was like, oh, we need to thwart the Palestinian Union and blah, blah, blah. Whereas when you actually read Netanyahu's quote, not to say I agree or disagree with his politics, but when you read the Netanyahu quote, he's clearly talking about how the Palestinian Authority, Abbas, who I think is still the leader, right, has lost control of Hamas, and that like, what was the argument that? Oh God, I'm trying to remember, because there was Qatari money involved, and then there was the Palestinian Authority money involved, and people tried to make it sound like Netanyahu, basically that he'd like invented Hamas in the Gaza Strip, or like created as a support just to fuck with the Palestinians, rather than Netanyahu commenting on how the Palestinians had lost control of the people in Gaza. Oh, I remember. The reason why the Qatari money, so this is Netanyahu's claim, okay? Now, whether you agree or disagree, it's fine, but at least deal with the claim. The argument was Netanyahu was letting in the Qatar money to go into the Gaza Strip just because he wanted to support Hamas, to watch the violence, persevere and blah, 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 right? Netanyahu's claim was the Palestinian Authority was cutting off money to Gaza in an attempt to make the Hamas and the Gazan people so desperate that they eventually have to go full-scale civil war, right? Because the PA is not giving them their owed money or paying any of their civil services, and the PA, I think, didn't want the Qatari money to go in. So the idea would be, what Netanyahu accused Abbas of doing, was that Gaza would become so unworkable, so untenable, a massive war would happen. It would force Israel to go in, expel all of Hamas, and then just give that basically back to Abbas after he'd done all of the work for him. That was Netanyahu's argument. Whether you would agree or disagree is fine, and there might be strong supporting arguments to show that Netanyahu is completely full of shit, or there might be strong supporting arguments to say that, like, oh, this actually maybe was Abbas's goal, or more likely there's going to be a little bit of truth on both sides, but at least engage with the actual argument. Don't like do this bullshit. Oh, Netanyahu loves Hamas because it helps him. It's just it's so reductively stupid.
Process.